Okay, we live. Hey, people, welcome to iBuyBlack Black Friday. Thank you for joining us again. We're here. We are our community getting together to support the Black community. So this is pro-Black. Guys, we have a special treat. JCW computers. Now, everybody always wants to talk about, they need help with their computers or, they've fallen behind on how to do things. This is the man. Joel Wilson is the man. He is the king of this, and I'm in the technical field, but I look at his stuff like, whoo, puts me to shame. So you are honored, man. So tell us about Joel Wilson and where he started off at.
Well, I appreciate that, Chris, and we're going to be talking about TechCore too. You mentioned JCW.
Oh,
so,
I'm sorry.
No problem. So with TechCore is actually a tech STEM coding program for young folks, and we actually start teaching youth in kindergarten how to program, how to make their own video games. And so we're taking the approach to get them started when they're younger, is so that they can develop during their education process with computer science concepts at a very young age. And by doing this will make it much more likely for young folks to say, hey, you know what? I am smart enough. I can do this stuff. I can either go to college for this, or maybe I'll decide I want to go into a tech program. They have 2-year programs, or even some that are shorter than that, and allow them to get into the workforce at a faster level. And why is computer science and coding and programming, all this stuff, why is it so important? Well, I think for the Black community's perspective, one of the things that has happened to us that has put us at such a disadvantage is with the chattel slavery that our ancestors had to go through. The key thing that the system and those that partake in it, they took our ancestors' intellectual property. So they stole from them, how to grow rice, how to grow cotton, corn, and all the inventions that our ancestors made, and they couldn't get a patent.
Right.
So it was the greatest theft of wealth in I think in the history of man. So now with STEM has jobs. It's almost an unlimited amount of jobs for young folks, or for anyone who has the skills. And one of the nice things about STEM careers that we as Blacks, particularly here in Philly, we don't have to worry about, is that like some great jobs, there's great jobs in the trades, carpenter, electrical union, things like that. But we still have to deal with racism in in the trades. So, there's all these super sophisticated ways. They just keep most of us out. So I mean, that's just the bottom line. They got great reasons and rationales why, but it seems like it only impacts Black people. So, with technology, you don't have those built-in things to keep you locked out. So if you learn how to program, then these companies out here, they will hire you just on your merits. They could care less that you Black. So here, your average salaries for most STEM careers, you're going to start at least like 50 grand. And I know some folks say, 50 grand isn't that much money. But let me just tell you about the Black community and our reality. Right. Our reality is that the average Black family in Philadelphia makes about $30,000. Yeah. Family. I'm not saying a person, I'm saying the family. So all the income coming into a household, $30-some thousand. So when you can look at, hey, wow, we got all these careers in which, this one house could have 3 young people, and each of these young folks can now get into their own career, and each of them on average, they're making at least 50 grand. And I'll just be honest with you, if you do go to school, and we have tons of kids, college students that have come through our program who, have gone to Temple or Drexel, Cheney, Lincoln, all the various schools. You get your computer science degree or your engineering degree, you're gonna make a lot more than $50,000 a year.
Yeah.
So, this is a viable alternative option that our community really needs to look at. A big part of the way that we can transform how our folks, is living and the quality of life, and and stopping some of this violence. Like, a lot of the violence that we see in the city, it is attributed to income and wealth and folks being able to take care of themselves. And historically, again, racism, they've just made such a maze for the folks who, come out of Africa to move forward. I mean, there's so much money that is made when we don't achieve.
Do you think it's a lack? I know this for a fact, but do you think it's a lack of education and technology in our mainstream communities that can't afford for the child to go to a certain school and get some kind of computer science or computer training?
So that's an interesting question, and I would say that the fact that we don't have technology being taught in the type of technology that's going to lend you to pursue computer science and engineering, we don't have those things being taught in most of the schools, the public schools that Black folks attend. That's problematic. So if you're not preparing the young folks to be able to have the academic rigor to achieve, like, if your young folks aren't being prepared to master algebra in 8th or 9th grade, it's going to make it very difficult, to go into these schools, and they're requiring, you to take 1-2 years of calculus. Well, you're not even prepared to do that. But I just want to speak to another quick point. I don't think that it's really been a lack of money. I think it's been a lack of priority.
Yeah.
I think the school district in particular had the money to teach computer science effectively over the last 30 years. I really do. I just think it wasn't a real priority. Like, they've allowed so many other things to come before it. And it's, if it wasn't Black kids, the ones who were the ones not being taught,
right,
I think they would have moved on it. And I think evidence of that is, you see what happened with COVID. Like, for the last 30 years, you couldn't get the school district to adopt what's called one-to-one for students. Each student having a computer. They had every excuse in the world. Couldn't do it. COVID hit. Guess what? They ordered like 500,000 computers, or whatever the number was. It's something ridiculous. Definitely a couple 100,000. So when there's a will, there's a way. And so many times when Black folks and Black children are at the end of something, we are the ones that there's the least priority. And that's just what I've seen in my life. So what we have to do is prioritize ourselves and make sure that we do all we can for our kids. So to the families that are out there, You know, you don't need to invest $1,000 in a computer for your child to learn how to program. You could invest, you know, $200, $300, $400, and your child can have a device that's adequate for them to learn how to program. So, and that's one of the things that Tech Core 2 has been doing. So for 6 years, we've been teaching kids starting in kindergarten, going all the way up through high school, how to code. And, you know, K to 8th grade, we call that skill development. So some of the platforms we're teaching them on is Scratch, which is a gaming platform, very easy to use. It looks like Legos, it's blocks that you pull the programming code on top of each other, and the students build an actual program. They build games. So, and they get to learn, it's about a dozen computer science concepts. And these concepts are transferable. So when they study any other computer science language, they're going to use the same concepts. They're going to, you know, if then else, you know, variables. You know, these are standard concepts that you use regardless of the language. So we teach that. We also teach Python. We've introduced some other technologies that are not straight computer science, but they are STEM related, technology related. So one of the classes that we've introduced is a video editing class. So we actually are teaching young folks how to build. We started off with commercials because, you know, these videos on social media are huge. So that's actually a whole industry, building commercials for social media. So that's what we start on, and we found a platform that, number one, is low cost, so almost anyone can afford it, and it does not demand a very powerful computer. A lot of times, you go to a place and the software they choose is expensive, and then it requires this super fast computer. So, you know, to get in that game, you know, you need to dump a couple $1,000s. But the way we do it, you know, again, off of a very low cost Chromebook, you could be in video production, and you could learn, hey, this is something I'm interested in, or I'm not, but you didn't break the bank. So that's one of the classes we've been doing. And the video you just played was actually done by one of our student engineers, produced that.
Okay.
And then we also introduced another class, and this comes straight out of my passion. I grew up in the 80s. So, you know, I love hip hop. You know, all through high school, the Wynn Plaza, we used to have USA Skates, St. Luke's and St. Therese. All those were the party spots.
Yeah, that's where we've been at. The hangouts.
Yep. So we created a class called Hip Hop and STEM. And so it's a fusion of the students that actually learn how to build hip hop music. They're building it in a cloud-based music platform. Okay. And it's beautiful because during the pandemic, you know, your whole crew group, everybody could be in a separate location, and you're building it collaboratively, leveraging cloud computing. And you don't have to have a really sophisticated computer. You could even use a cell phone. So, and you could produce some good music. So I think we've been doing that for about 3 years, and we've actually had about 2 songs, decent songs that have come out of the platform. And again, you're talking about a group of kids. No one knows each other. They go through an 8-week program, and boom, they're learning how to build music.
What about job training?
Say that again.
You guys produce job training, because right now it's a vast market of computer. Everything is computer now. You know, you need IT people. We need help desk. We need. I just ran across 3 outlets that said they need overnight help desk because of the COVID. They're looking for people to work from home, but you need computers, some kind of form of training before they give you a laptop and everything. Does Core Tech 2 supply training for people that's going out there in the working world?
So the primary folks that are being trained in TechCore 2 are actually students, K-12 students. And the majority of our students in high school, they are going on to college. So one of the things that we are looking at pivoting into is having, and what you were just talking about is considered workforce development. Right. So doing workforce development. So now you're taking those young folks that are anywhere from 16 up to 25. They're not, they may be opting not to go to college, or they may have, some may have gone but have, not finished. Some may just be in a career that they want to change. And so attacking that market. So we have not done programs for that particular segment as of yet. But with COVID and some of the pivoting we've done, because we've had to turn into a virtual program. So both our summer program, our summer internship we ran, that was virtual. And then we just concluded our fall Saturday program, and that was virtual as well. And one of the interesting things with this fall Saturday program is we actually had, for the first time, we were able to train students that weren't, that were not in this geography. So we had students in Florida, Georgia, and Texas.
Okay.
So that would have, the way we were doing it before, that would have never been possible. So that has opened us up into some, some new things we didn't think about. And we're now planning for our spring program, our spring Saturday program, which we, already know is going to be virtual as well. We're not looking to go back to in-person training until the fall of 2021. Okay.
Wow. Oh, here's a question before it gets past me. So, I work in IT, for a major law firm. And one of the things, some of the people that I come across, they have no computer training, but now they're in their 50s and they're looking to get in it because they're at home. So, so do you stick in that age range of young people, or are you guys venturing to get with the old, the older generation that's looking to get into learning Microsoft Office or getting some kind of typing skills and stuff like that? I'll be honest with you, they're suffering out there.
Yes, and it's a real need. So through TechCore is interesting because we have had that on our drawing board for at least 2 years, and the goal has always been that when we're doing our Saturday programs, to have classes for adults, because we have we start off with, we have parents attached to all the kids that we're training, so we can start with them and build out from there. But for the last 2 years, it's every time we've set to launch, something else has happened, which has more or less pushed that on the back burner. So it is absolutely a huge need. A lot of parents, in my consulting practice, we do work with schools, charter schools, things like that. And so there are a lot of there's a lot of teachers that are in need of different training help. So I do that was my phone. Let me. Sorry about that. All right, Chris, I think I'm back. Sorry about that.
That's okay. We techie. But here's one of the things, here's one of the things I had a problem with, me being a techie, I'm a big time geek guy. I'm Big Bang Theory on every night on TBS, I'm just deep down inside of it. This right here is like everybody's main computer. But then when they get to the keyboard to type and start doing things, they get so frustrated. I'll go back to my phone. How do we get people away from this to a computer? Because I tell people all the time, you can't take a cell phone on a job interview or a job and type up a whole letter. You're going to learn how to do this stuff. How do we get a message across with that?
And you're still talking about for our older folks who are just not
young people. No, young people too. I know young people that are so attached to their phone, their cell phone, but they don't know anything about a computer. They don't know how to.
That's true. I mean, the average 6-year-old at this point has a cell phone. So
yeah, and it's sad because that's the first thing the parent get. Well, let's shut him up. Let's give him the cell phone to shut him up. And the tablets. That's another thing. It's like, our young people are not preparing themselves for something greater when I look at them messing around with a cell phone. Because you can't do everything on the cell phone. I've seen people try to type out a resume. I say, what are you doing? I'm typing out my resume.
Well, I've seen it. I've seen that happen. I've seen students do research papers using cell phones. So I'm not gonna knock someone if that's like all they have, or even if that's just what you're comfortable with and you're producing. So I've seen some incredible things with young folks, especially out of Africa, what they're doing with, they have limited tech and they are just maximizing it.
Right.
And so I'm not going to knock that. But what I will say is that I think a lot of parents believe that if they just give their kids an expensive cell phone, then their kids are like good with a computer, like they're this computer science genius because they gave them an expensive phone,
right?
And that's not true. And most young people who actually have a cell phone, they don't know anything on the technical side of using either that cell phone or any type of computer equipment, and they're just a consumer. And so they have this expensive device and they are just, being programmed to want and buy more, other expensive stuff. So I do think, part of what we have to do as a community is we have to introduce young folks to the creative side and getting them building things. It's a big disservice we've done to our young folks is that we don't get them thinking critically,
right,
about whether it's STEM or just math, science. I mean, just so many things. We need to get them thinking critically and being challenged and doing type of lab, experiments, so that the light bulb goes off in their head.
Right. Because
once that happens, then now they're going to pursue it themselves. And and for a lot of our young folks, and for our young men in particular, we just don't put enough emphasis and encouragement in the academics. And we have over-indexed so far as our young Black boys over-indexed in sports. Right. And so we have 80% of our young boys wanting to be, a combination of a pro athlete, rap artist, or even do something criminal. I mean, we got our young boys who are willing to even acknowledge that. Right. So, and only 20% are pursuing all these other things that are needed to run the society. I mean, we need folks out here that's, look at COVID right now. Look at all the professions that we're relying on to keep our loved ones alive, from nurses to doctors to the folks who clean. It's a profession just to be able to clean the surgical equipment. I mean, they get paid well. That's
the dentist's office.
Right.
People that work for the dentist, at nighttime, they have to go and clean the whole place down.
Right. So, it's all these jobs. So we just have so much that hopefully if we just expose our young folks and be present in their lives. A lot of our young folks are really raising themselves, and we got to change it. And if we do these things, all these things coming together, I think we'll get this change that we want to happen. And right now in Philly, I have seen there's been a few programs that have gotten actually some city money to teach STEM and coding and things like that.
Right.
So TechCore to date has not received any of that city money. So we are open to receive it if there's more out there to be granted. TechCore 2 is a 501c3 nonprofit corporation. We're registered in the state to receive donations as a charitable organization. So we're here. And one other thing I'll just let the folks know out in the audience is that we actually run TechCore 2 off of 2 fundraisers. And because of COVID this year, we have not been able to have a fundraiser. So we still pulled off our fall Saturday program, but we did it with no additional funding coming in. And then we did have a drop off in students with the new format. So it was a challenge getting through it, but I was committed to get through it because I wanted us to not not have missed that semester. So we are looking for those who can possibly donate to TechCore 2. You could go to our website at techcore2.org, and we have a donate button. And we are very grateful for any donations that come through. And just to give out some stats, I mean, typically TechCore 2 services or teaches at least about 300 kids in a year, 300 young folks.
Wow.
And so we, in our fall Saturday program, we're anywhere a low of about 40 to up to about 60 kids. And then also in our spring program, 40 to 60 kids. And then in the summertime, and this is pre-COVID, so in the summertime, we employ anywhere from 4 up to about 8 college students.
Right.
And so we're running our own programs, teaching high school kids, and then we are teaching in different camps and nonprofits around the city. So we impact a lot of young folks. So a lot of young folks get, we're their first employment. We've been a work-ready site for high school students. I think this is our 4th year we just completed. And a lot of the work sites for this past summer, because of COVID, a lot of work sites, they could not open up. And so we were one of the few sites that was able to open and put on a quality program for our high school, the high school students in the city. So we have a nice, credible impact, positive impact in the city. We're touching college students, we're touching high school students, we're touching, that K-8 students,
right,
allowing them to see something different than they may not have been exposed to. And I just can't emphasize enough. I mean, when you have these young men, young ladies, they're 8, 9, 10 years old, and they have an instructor who is 19, is an electrical engineering major. They dress the same, they wear the same hairstyles, they do the same dance moves, listen to the same music. It makes it so much easier for the 9-year-old looking at their bigger version who is doing well in calculus and all these other classes, for them to say, you know what, I could do that too. It changes them. So programs like this are just crucial. It's one of the big ways where we can get to the young folks before they start making bad decisions about their lives. We can set some stuff in their brain, and they're like, yo, this is what I want to do. I want to be that engineer. I want to be that doctor. I want to be, whatever they choose to be. We don't, in TechCore 2, we're not saying exactly what we want them to be. We just want to show them these opportunities and show them the benefits. and then they could choose. They could choose whatever they want. We just want them to have a good life.
Well, I jotted down some things while we were talking. So, what is your vision, and what is TechScore vision for in the next 5 years? What would you like to see it, and what height you want to see it at?
Okay, so TechCore 2 right now it's a seasonal company. So when we run our programs, whether it's the fall, spring, or summer, that's when we bring on staff. And I want to grow TechCore so that it has full-time staff.
Okay.
So that it has full-time staff that we are able to retain a couple of our college students. Now that they're getting that degree, we would love to bring them on board. Pay them a salary that is that's in line with what a young person coming out with that type of degree would have, and we build up and we have year-round programs.
Okay.
And I think this is really where we need to be. One of the things I had learned years ago, back when I was in college, was that one of the things that India, and I'm talking about the country India, one of the things they did, I guess about 60, 70 years ago, when they looked at the world and they said, well, how do we go from being considered a third world country to a first world country? Right. And they chose computer science. They said, we're going to make computer science like our national major. We're going to throw everyone at computer science we can. And reportedly, back when I was in school, like half the degrees that they conferred in India were computer science. So you could have a cab driver who had a computer science degree. It was, and what they've done, if you look at all these industries that have consolidated in India. I mean, probably half the call centers out of the U.S., when you call, you're actually talking to someone in India.
Yeah,
so they picked an industry and they built manufacturing and all these things around it, and it helped to lift the country out. I think we could model something very similar to that for the Black community, and particularly here in Philadelphia, but across the country.
Oh, one last question I got. Will TechCore State remain a nonprofit, or are you guys planning on going for profit?
No, TechCore will always be a nonprofit. Okay. My other business venture, JCW Computer Consulting, is a profit entity. So things that we do that are in the profit realm, that's JCW.
Okay. Well, I got some videos here. You mean blast those? And
yeah, sure.
Okay, let's see if we can pull those up real quick. I was going to share out the video.
The mission to develop a tech industry opportunity pipeline for urban youth from kindergarten to college to career entry. We have been providing year-round tech STEM career-related part-time Saturday employment and internship opportunities for Philadelphia area college students for 5 years.
So I'm currently electrical engineering at Temple University in my junior year. So for me, I needed something where I'm facing my values. I love kids, and I wanted to find a place where I can, give back to my community and give back to the kids.
Some of those people I met in these programs, they're like my best friends. I still talk to them to this day. We're all in the STEM field. Those are the people who, through college, it's like they'll keep pushing me and stuff like that. So this exposure is great. If I was a parent listening to this, you want to share it with other parents. Get their kids, involved.
All right, so tell us a highlight you had last summer working with the high school students.
To be honest, the entire program, it taught me a lot about myself, and it kind of endorsed the skill that I believe that I had. I always knew that I was capable of being a leader, but I never knew how to lead my peers.
With our strategic partnership with JCW Computer Consulting LLC, TechCore 2 is also a field work study site and has employed students from Temple, Drexel, Lincoln University, Community College of Philadelphia, Widener University, Villanova, Cheney, and Howard University. Looking for your next great opportunity? Connect with us at collegejobs.techcore.com.
What did she do? Look at, we got a screen that just jumped in front of us, but I don't know how that happened. Let me get rid of this. Move. Hey, Jackie, we got a screen that just jumped right in front of us.
Oh, yeah, because we're supposed to go live in 1 minute.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry. I'll put that down. Keep on.
Can we minimize that screen? Because it took it over. Oh, Joe, we always get, as IT people, we always got technical difficulty for some reason. The next stream has popped in already and ready to go. So yeah.
Okay, it's all good. Thank you. I appreciate the time.
Thank you, you guys. If you're looking for information on TechCore 2, iBuyBlack or the iBuyBlack page, or you can Google TechCore 2, Joe Wilson. One of the greatest leader in iBuyBlack, worked with Earl Harvey. Look up to this brother. This brother's done some great things, and we look for you guys to jump on and ask some questions and get involved with what he's trying to do. This is a good cause. All right, so thanks.
Thank you.
All right.